everyone, and welcome to Get Celebritized. I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, where I come to you every single week, bringing you amazing people that help you earn more, live a big, vivacious, juicy, wonderful legacy life, and help you be able to give back more with all your excess successes so you can give back to the people and causes that matter most to you. So today I'm really excited to bring on a new friend of mine, someone who's paving a way in the marketing industry. This guy, Jonathan Palmer, if you've never heard of him, you're going to hear about him today and you're never going to forget him. Trust me. He is a marketing therapist to billionaire companies and entrepreneurs. He's the CEO founder of Son of Manoa Marketing. Now, you wonder what that is? Well, let's find out. Come on up, Jonathan. Let me bring him up here. Doo-doo-doo.
Aurea, how you doing? I am such a fan of your story, your work, and I am so excited to have a conversation with you today. I've been looking forward to this.
I'm even more excited, Jonathan. You know, you did a wonderful LinkedIn marathon. You've done 2 marathons now, and you are just a master on the microphone. You can keep a conversation going for like 20 hours, and that's a gift. You're so amazing. So it's not a surprise you do marketing. So for those, let's start right out. I know you, but the people watching have no idea who you are probably. Introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Well, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, when you finally find your purpose, when you discover the work that you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't even feel like work. And that 25-hour live stream, and I've done a few of them actually, it's a reflection of, you know, when you do the work that is in alignment with who you're supposed to be, doesn't even feel like work. I'm not going to go as far as saying as it was easy, but just imagine a life when you're living your purpose, you can stretch yourself like that and it doesn't weigh on you heavily. So myself, I started my career, well, going a little bit further back, as a kid, I was bullied a lot. I remember the kids in the classroom didn't even know that I spoke English because they'd never heard my voice. So imagine the growth to now doing 26-hour live streams. There's always a story in our childhood. From there, I dreamed of becoming a professional wrestler. And after 2 months of training, I was on television at 18 years old. From there, I had a little bit of a challenge with the wrestling. I got 2 left feet, but I knew that I loved performing. Unfortunately, I got into forensic accounting, but the blessing in that is it taught me the business side. It taught me the analytical side, so that when I pivoted over to marketing, not only could I tap into the performance side of professional wrestling, but I also understood business. And now I married those 2 things into marketing. Now I have a marketing agency where I've worked with the likes of Grant and Elena Cardone, Lewis Howes, Dan Locke, the list goes on. But I do believe that living a life when you're in alignment with your purpose, you attract these kinds of people. And it's not to say that your career becomes easy, but it's a lot easier when you love what you do.
It really makes a difference. Now, we're going to have to backtrack just a little bit because I like to dive into some little nuts and bolts. A lot of people just kind of gloss over. So you went from never speaking to now look at you, to being bullied, to wrestling, to forensic something. And now, so let's connect those dots. What is forensic accounting? How the heck did you go from being in wrestling and as personable as you are to forensic accounting? 2 different sides of the brain.
Oh, yeah. So funny story. I mean, there are always funny stories. Life is so serendipitous, right? So when my wrestling career ended after about 6 years of doing so, I needed to find something to do to pay the bills. You know, now I'm in my mid-20s. My mom and dad had a forensic accounting agency. And for those that may be unfamiliar, forensic accounting is auditing. You know, it's essentially working backwards quarter by quarter, ensuring that everybody's invoices are in line. I can't say it was the career of my highest excitement, but I feel like it was an opportunity for me to become a student of the game. Student of the game when it came to business, you know, being in the corporate world. It also made me identify, wow, this is not in alignment with who I am and what I really want to do. And I think we all need to experience that. We all need to first discover all the things we don't like doing to know what we really want to do with our lives. So around 2019, late 2019, my dad, who's had a forensic accounting agency for 20 years, said, you know what, maybe we should do some marketing. So considering that I was finishing up my marketing degree, He said, "Hey, John, why don't you give a stab at it?" And as soon as I started diving into the creativity, I was like, wow, I love doing this. I bumped into a young woman named Shay Rowbottom. She was a big influencer on LinkedIn. She was an early adopter and she was making videos. And I thought, oh, wow, how cool. So I manifested a reality where I ended up meeting her once, becoming a student, being the most dedicated student she ever had. And she said one day, "Hey, John, come work for me, join the circus." So I went from making six figures to $20 an hour working for her. We end up scaling that business to multi-millions, at which point now we're bumping heads with the Grants and the Lewis Howes and what have you. And then we started dating. And then when we started dating, things got a little bit challenging because we both had different visions of where we wanted to go, which led me to creating my own business. But let me tell you, the darkness that I experienced, letting go of the security of being an employee and becoming that entrepreneur this past year, because I've only been in business for about 8 months, and we've
What?
scaled to
Are you
over six
serious?
figures. Yeah, but
I thought you've been in like your own business for like years. Oh my gosh, you're just a baby in the business. You're doing amazing. Keep
Thank
talking.
you.
They want to know how you did it because you just said something really important. That transition from leaving the secure job, even though it's $20 an hour, it's coming. You know what to budget because you were doing forensic, accounting. You know that budget is important. To going
Right.
off on your own and good months, good weeks, bad weeks means sometimes there is no income coming in, and $20 an hour is better than nothing. So give us those bravery muscles you needed and the strategy you needed to make that leap, because you've done it extremely successful, because you work with big people and you travel, you speak, and you're being hired by some of the best businesses in the world.
Yes, and just to clarify, I started at 20, but I didn't end at $20 an hour.
Well,
Just
right,
to clarify for the audience. What I call my method to success is beautiful delusion. That is what I would call it, beautiful delusion. I feel like the most successful people need to have a certain degree of delusion. You need to be a little delusional in order to step into that person that you were supposed to be in order to be successful in business. Because oftentimes, and I'll say this as typically our friends, our family, the people we surround ourselves with, they want to protect us. It's not, there's no malintent most of the time. They want to protect us. But if you surround yourself with people that have limiting beliefs, or they haven't accomplished the things that you aspire to accomplish, sometimes it can be discouraging. So I feel like having a healthy dose of beautiful delusion and having that belief in yourself that you can overcome any obstacle, Aurea, you'd know probably better than anybody else on this planet, having that gives you the tools in order to push through those difficult days, those challenging conversations, and ultimately succeed.
You are absolutely preaching the truth for sure. When you have to be a little delusional. All right. So I work with a lot of clients, a lot of women, especially that, all right, we got delusional in the bag. We know we got these big dreams. We're delusional. We can do this. We learn, forget the naysayers, have those balcony friends, stay away from the naysayers. Now, where I see the disconnect is those strategies and tools now to scale to profitability, because now you've got to buckle up and say there is systems to being a profitable success in business, because everybody starts out with big ideas and wishes and hopes, and they do have a solution to a major problem or they wouldn't be doing it. So help us connect those dots from the delusion to actual profitability.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of tactics that go into it. It's not just airy fairy manifesting and your reality comes true. There's a lot of work that goes behind it. And one thing that, I feel like it's almost like the two activities are in direct opposition with one another. Marketing inherently tries to preach the way that you can get to your dream outcome faster, quicker, more painless, and marketing always preaches that message. But if I have to pull the curtain and take people behind the scenes, to me, what makes people successful is doing the basic things perfectly first. So it took me, although I just opened my business 8 months ago, I have been stacking skills for years that created basically, I forget what it is that Abraham Lincoln said, but essentially, if he was given 12 hours to chop down a tree, he'd spend 8 of them sharpening his axe. right?
Yes, I've heard that. I love that.
And I feel like that is the magic behind it. I sharpened my skills. So I stacked a bunch of skills. And my belief is that is what builds your confidence. When you stack a bunch of skills, then you become undeniable. That builds your confidence to have the belief that you can actually overcome those obstacles. Without stacking the skills, you're more or less lost, you know? So that's what I did. When I was working in the other marketing agency, I learned how to sell. I learned how to market. I became a student of the game so that when it came time to open my doors, I wasn't expecting to get business immediately, but it's a byproduct of all of the effort that I put in. For example, what initially made me go viral on LinkedIn was I knew that I had to create my own lane. I had to be the best at something. Find one skill that you can be the best in the world at, a skill that you could be known for that nobody else has. And for me, I looked at the videos. I didn't think that I was the most handsome person on LinkedIn. I didn't think that I was the most entertaining, but I spent more time than anybody else editing the video. I would spend 40 plus hours editing a 2-minute video. And I knew because it wasn't about going wide, it was about going deep. And I knew that if I could edit a video better than anybody else, that was the one thing that would separate me from all of my competition. And that is how I grew in popularity.
So smart, so smart. And what is your popularity? I put up your LinkedIn right now. Well, Jonathan Palmer, find him on LinkedIn. What is your popularity now? Now, what is your strength on LinkedIn? Is it the amount of followers or the amount of engagement? Because we know that could be a little smoke and mirrors, and other people say, I've got so many followers, but you have so many great engaged followers.
That is what it is. That's the key. So at one time I had over 200,000 followers on LinkedIn. And then I went quiet for about 2 years because I went back to sharpening my axe. Learning the skills.
Smart.
Cumulatively over social media, I have over 100,000 followers, but it's not about that. Every video that I would post would generate between 150,000 and 250,000 views. So of the audience that I do have, everybody was hooked, everybody was watching, everybody was engaging. And for those that might not be as familiar with social media, that is actually the magic, is building a tribe of loyal followers that will watch everything that you create. It's one thing to have an audience and another to have a following. When you're trying to sell something, you don't want an audience that just happens to watch your content. You want a following. You want a tribe of dedicated individuals that can be your cheerleader for your next business opportunity.
I like to call them your fanatical audience. You get these fanatical fans. That's what happens in podcasting. So I'm going to ask you a marketing question in a second, because that's what happened to me 3 years ago when I went to TV podcasting and jumped in the podcasting world because it's trending. But I didn't do it the normal way. I turned on the cameras. I've always been a TV podcast because I know I love the camera and I love seeing you and seeing people interacting.
And you're great at it. You are excellent at it.
I love this, but I can't imagine just sitting here and talking to you on the phone and having just the audio. This is how I thrive. This is my wheelhouse. So I love that. And then, of course, we can pull out the audio, make it on the podcast airwaves. But with that, I know how important it is in my marketing plan that I jumped in the podcasting world, part of my marketing strategy. Like, you do editing better than anybody. That's your piece. Mine is the video and doing this. So tell me, in the marketing world, things change so fast. One thing that's kind of steady is podcasting is really popular. Videos, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks. And I'm going to say my generation, 40 and up, even though I'm up from there. But let's just say those of us who weren't brought up with computers and social media. I mean, this was a new thing for us these past, 10, 20 years. So what is the best marketing strategy you can give to the business owners that they're getting a little overwhelmed? Okay, you're saying marketing. There's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's podcasting, there's YouTube. How do you decipher? Do you go with what you know you need to do and get good at it? Or do you do where you're comfortable and dive deep into that? Or do you hire people to go into the places that must be done now? Because in this day and age, if you're not here or doing this, you're not going to be successful. What say you?
Such a great question. We could go so many different directions with the question, but I would say that it is imperative that you get a coach, you get somebody that understands social media. You need a teacher, because essentially, imagine for a moment, that you decide to go into the Amazon rainforest and you need to find a very specific location, but you don't have a map. Now, on social media, they preach, like Gary Vaynerchuk, he'll preach, just post a lot of content, 10, 15, 20 pieces of content a day. But my belief is that's like going in the Amazon rainforest, looking for a specific location without a map. You
And plus,
will,
who has time for that? If you're working
nobody
in
has
your
time for that.
business, you're marketing, but then you have no business to sell them.
Right, right. So it's like going in a bunch of different directions and not knowing if you're actually making any progress.
Circle.
So number one, I would say, and there's so many resources online, it's not that hard to find. My favorite places, I'm giving you guys all the secrets that I give to my clients. My favorite places to search are Reddit, Quora, which is a great resource, and YouTube recommendations. So if you type in a keyword like digital marketing into YouTube, it will give you the cheat code. It'll give you recommendations on where you should start. Reddit, type in a word on Google. Maybe it could be pharmacist marketing, and then type Reddit at the end. And then you have a community of people that are engaging, because Google at this point is just a whirlwind of SEO. It's an SEO game. You're not going to get the quality advice that you want. But if you type in Reddit at the end, you have a very engaged community of individuals that are putting out topics, having conversations, so you can get inspired on an idea for a piece of content that you could post on LinkedIn, what have you. But at the end of the day, the best advice that I could give to people about social media is treat your website as a list of the services and the benefits of your offer. But your social media is supposed to express and articulate the experience of working with you. They get to hear your voice. They get to see you on camera. They get to experience and get a little bit of a teaser of what working with you would be like. Think about what is the most intimidating part of getting a job. It's sitting for the interview. What is that individual going to be like? What is HR going to be like? What is the boss going to be like? There is so much fear and resistance that goes into that. Now imagine doing business with somebody else. If you can, because the coolest thing for me is when I'll be walking down the street or I'll go into a restaurant and somebody will approach me because they recognize me from one of the media places that I'm from. And they will say, oh my God, I know so much about you. I know about this about you and that about you. And it creates this level of comfort so that when the time comes to do business, they already know so much about me that when it comes to like closing the deal, I'm just collecting the credit card because they got the full experience because of everything that I put out on social. Social media is not necessarily about building a following. Social media is not necessarily about being popular, going viral. To me, the main core focus for a business when it comes to social media is getting to experience what that person is like, which opens the door to do business together.
I've always said that they need to experience you. That's why I've loved things like Clubhouse and the Owl app and places where, if you're going live doing videos, don't just keep posting text, posting memes and long things on LinkedIn that are articles and blogs. Now, there's people that will read those, but they're not experiencing your mannerism, your enthusiasm, your passion. So it's not about looking the prettiest or the best on these reels or on these stories or on these lives. Just let them experience you. And I think the pandemic did one good thing for all that. It brought everybody's excellence level down, where you had Jimmy Fallon doing the Tonight Show in his office with his kids hanging off his head. And, Ryan Seacrest was in his kitchen doing, Kelly and Ryan, they were all in their homes. Kelly Clarkson, no makeup, sitting in her little studio, doing her show, her primetime morning show, still winning an Emmy for it. And we realized it's not about the hair and the makeup and the lights and the camera and the studio. It's about the person, the entertainment value, the content. So it's given everybody that level playing field to just get on camera. It's not all about being picture perfect anymore, although there are trends for that on Instagram, but that's not what we're doing. We're building a business and a fanatical fan base, not about how, unless you're in the beauty industry. But for those of them people that may not know what Reddit is, can you explain a little bit about what that community is on Reddit?
Absolutely, great question. So I've essentially, I do feel like millennials have a little bit of an advantage, right? Mm-hmm. Because we essentially grew up with the internet. We're the final generation.
So we need to hire you guys.
Right. We're the final generation that somewhat remembers what life was like before the internet, but we have the benefit of growing up and being trained into social media from day one. Like, and I'm talking about back when they had chat rooms and discussion forums and what have you. We got to experience all of that. So because we did that, Reddit is essentially an evolution of discussion boards, which is early internet. So the thing about discussion boards that made it different than social media is there wasn't the pretentiousness. There wasn't the photos and what have you. This is all about a community of people that share different types of hobbies and habits, and a safe place for people to go without the judgment of the likes and the comments and the social media engagement. So it's social media without the pretentiousness. It's just deep, heartfelt conversation. So Reddit allows you to tap into those conversations and understand what is the temperature in the room as it relates to a certain topic without the vanity metrics. And that's why I love that community so much.
That's neat. So business owners can go in there. It's kind of like there's a website, Ask the People,
Yes.
or Answer the People, Answer the Public. Something.
Answer the Public, yes.
Answer the Public. And you can, put in you're a psychotherapist or you're a health and wellness coach. So I always say God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, 2 ears to listen twice as much as we talk. So if we listen to what our audience needs from us, we know we could throw up on them all day long and give everything we know, right? But what do they need? What is their pain point today? Not a year ago, pre-pandemic or whatever,
Right.
What they need today. So we don't stop talking and say, okay, what do they need? So then we can create a program or a masterclass around that. Oh, and you can see those trends. Because I see Reddit shows up a lot when I'm searching, and I know I have other clients that wonder too, what exactly is it? It keeps showing up when I'm looking for an answer to something. So I thought it was kind of like those chat rooms, but that makes so much sense how you explained it, how you can get into the conversation and ask it. So the best way to find a Reddit, you're saying, is go to Google, put in, what would you put in? Like a keyword.
Like a keyword, whatever industry you're serving in, and then just type Reddit right after. It's that
Perfect.
simple. And something that I'm a big believer on, and I feel like this might be one of the most important pieces of advice that I can give anybody on listening right now. Always be an early adopter. Take a chance on, and Aurea, you're a great reflection of that. Owl app being one of them, right? Shout out to Jason. Be an early adopter. Get invested in these things before they become super popular, super viral, because that's where you get the most value. For example, if you invested in Bitcoin in 2012, imagine how rich you'd be. Well, I don't know now, but it's an example, right? The people that bought Bitcoin in 2012 and then cashed out in 2019 are the ones that got rich because they took a chance on a platform or a vehicle that was still new to market. Mm-hmm. Reddit is still early in its journey. It hasn't scaled fully yet. And I'm always looking for those new things so that I can invest early so that I get big rewards later.
That makes sense. It's always going to get in early on the right things. You imagine being, being first one like on Google or Microsoft or any of those. Even on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, my story, I got on LinkedIn in December of 2019. What happened in March of 2020? I was right there, right in that moment when it really blasted off because we all had to go digital. So it's always looking for those opportunities.
That happened to me with Clubhouse. The pandemic hit and I got right in. I mean, I went up to 12,000. I've never had 12,000 followers, and on any of my social media. And it was like, but I worked the heck out of it. I was on there every day because we all were. And I've met the coolest people. And I know you and Al and Jason because of the connections I made on Clubhouse where I'm still on.
Look at that.
And it was brand new. And so we're considered the OGs now. And it's a wonderful community, probably like the Reddit community, but it's audio. So I'm with you. Jump in early on things that resonate with you. If you like audio, then get in there. If you like LinkedIn, whatever it is. And I don't think it's ever too late to jump on. What do you think? Like people might be saying now, there's like 40 billion videos an hour going out on YouTube. Is it too late? You're in the marketing. Give us a little bit of your temperature of what's happening with the tried and true things, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Is it too late, or can somebody really make their mark in those marketing industries?
Aurea, I have to honor you. You ask the best questions. You just like cut through the fat, cut through the fluff, and go straight for highest value. So I want to honor you in that way, first and foremost. Yes. Now, with that question in mind, There's a Chinese proverb, and I believe it says something along the lines of the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is right now, right? So I think that we can all agree, social media has evolved. Now, do I think that the opportunity is the same as the pandemic? Probably not. I don't want to sit here and lie to anybody, but I still believe that there is so much opportunity, especially on a platform like LinkedIn. Why? We currently have 925 million users on LinkedIn. 925 million users. Do you know how many posts are being published a day?
Probably not that many.
3 million. 3 million. So that means 99.7% of the platform is consuming what 0.035 is creating. Those numbers are insane. So the fact that I can take a client and within the first month, they generate, I actually have a client, Wendy. Within 1 week, she's generated over 100,000 views on her content. And she has an event going off on November 11th. And as a byproduct, it is selling out. There is so few creators putting out content on LinkedIn that it is almost guaranteed to go viral if it has any degree of quality. So LinkedIn has a content deficiency problem.
Wow.
So you can be the individual to stand out in your industry, especially if you don't have a lot of competitors on the platform. You can stand out like that. It is insane.
That is good to know, because I know so many people are like viral on TikTok and viral on Instagram and all this. And again, my generation, I'm just going to say, 40, 45 and up, are thinking, oh my gosh, is my audience even there? Is it worth the time? And we've seen some success stories. We've seen some businesses really do well with TikTok, whatever. But I think people have thought that LinkedIn was much more article driven. So can you give us a couple of tips of what LinkedIn is now? Because I know it's changed. Like, I do a LinkedIn room now every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. with two of my friends that one of them does PR and press. I do podcasting and TV. And my other friend does scaling your business. She's used to run restaurants, $1 million restaurants. So we bring our forces together, and we've just been doing the audio rooms weekend to get some, traction. But what is like a tip, without giving away all your secret sauces? But
I'm here to give them all away.
I'm
here to give them all away.
Give them all away.
And I want it, and because I'm going to say this because I think that that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have. They have such a resistance about giving it all away. Now, it depends on what industry you're in. But I find that even because I've spent years giving away every secret on every I've probably done hundreds of podcasts all over the place. And I have given away every major secret that I have.
Wow.
Because here is the reality. Even if you give everyone all of the secrets, 99% of people still won't take action. They still won't do anything with the information.
You're right.
So I have no fear about giving it all away. Also, I believe in a God, and I know that I'm going to be divinely protected as long as my heart's in the right place. And
goes around.
Finally, another thing to mention is when it comes to a great coach, coaching is not about information. It's about customization and implementation.
Yes, it is. And implementation is huge. We all need somebody to help us cross over the finish line.
Exactly.
You can know how to do the race, but you have a coach daily helping you get in shape to help you get across that finish line. You're never going to get over it. So
exactly.
I'm with you. 99% of the people fail because they don't take action, or they don't know how, or they get to an obstacle and now what do I do? Because you can give us all the books you want. We'd all be brilliant bazillionaires if it was information, because we have access to every book in the world. We have access to Tony Robbins, everything he's ever done or read. But why doesn't we just take it and run with it? Because you need that person to help you, assimilate it and take action on it.
Right. If we go back to the Amazon rainforest example, I could give you the map, but wouldn't it be nice to have a tour guide? Yes. That is literally taking you along the journey. They're taking control of it, right?
And kill the snakes along the path.
Yes. And also the customization method, because let's say that I were to develop a course or I write a book about social media. People will still have the hesitation because they're going to wonder, well, I'm a special snowflake. How does this relate to me? How can I implement this for my specific challenges? So the fact that I could jump in and go into the trenches with that individual and guide them on how I would approach it closes the sale. And there was one more thing that you said that stood out, and I didn't want to forget it. A lot of people say, is it worth my time? That is a big one. That is a big one. And let's just address this and get it out of the way. When somebody approaches me, whether I'm on a sales call, a strategy session, what have you, and they say, well, I don't really have time for this. The first thing that I ask them to do is, hey, do you mind if you just open up your calendar for a moment? Now, the people that don't want to open up their calendar already know the answer, but the people that do, I'm like, wait a second. You have a gap here, you have a gap there, and then you have all of those hours. And then on top of that, you have 140 days out of the year that you're not in the office. They're called weekends. So when an individual says, I want this more than anything else, and I look at their calendar and I see blank space, I'm like, well, I see an opportunity there. I see an opportunity there. I see an opportunity on that weekend, because the reality is, in order to live the life of your dreams, there will be sacrifices.
Yeah.
There is something that you will have to pay for that success. So I just look at their calendar, and typically I find the opportunities where they can find a way of creating content.
We also know that any one of us could cut out some TV time or some,
Absolutely.
We don't want to take it all. We have to have rest and relaxation. We have to have our weekend or your Sunday. We get that. But there's always those things where you're sitting down and you can make it more productive. Nobody's working 24/7. Even though we say that, we feel like we're working 24/7. There's always those times where, you still have some more energy, but because you're not strategized, you don't want to bend up, you sit down, you watch TV for an hour, when you could have, if you had a goal, take that hour and do your social media, do something else.
Or even 15, 20 minutes. Because if you're filming a 1 minute or 2 minute video, which is kind of what I consider the ideal. And I want to get into some LinkedIn tactics next. But if you're filming a 1 to 2 minute video, I'd say spending 10 minutes researching, trying to identify what are the pain points of your clients, what are some of the challenges, and how you're the solution, you're the bridge between them, their current situation and their desired situation. 10 minutes of research, 5 minutes recording, 1 minute throwing some captions on it, you're good to go. That's all you need. And if you do that every day and aspire to just improve 1%, the compounding of that activity over the course of a year or 2 years, you will be viral. You just have to put in that legwork, those first couple of videos that you're putting out and they're not getting traction. You will start to identify what that audience wants and what they don't want. And
we were just talking about compounding last week. It's so funny you said that. It's that little bit every single day that it's like, would you rather $1 million or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days?
Oh, give me the penny.
Right. By like the 14th day, it's doubling millions and millions. It's ridiculous how that works. You have to double it every day. Do the math. I'm not doing it right now. But it works. So you're right. That compound works. So, all right. So I love your attitude. I love you want to give it all. So, all right, guys, we're going to ask him for all of it. LinkedIn, give us your tips. What's your best tips then for is it audio? Is it articles? Is it video? Because LinkedIn is a little bit more of a mystery to a lot of people. They're still thinking you get in there and you do articles. Tell us what LinkedIn is today and how we can best utilize it.
So there may be some that believe that I have a bias for video, but I will clarify why it is so important in the time that we live in right now.
I'm with you.
With the rise of AI, now we're to the point where we can have somebody write our content for us. Social media, it depends on who you are, but most individuals at this point understand and know the concept of a ghostwriter and the concept of having media teams that create content on behalf of others.
Yeah.
So if you really want to build trust with your audience, and if you really consider how much of communication is nonverbal, then you understand the value of creating video content. There's no better driver of building the know, like, trust factor than getting on camera. Because when an individual sitting in their backyard, sitting in their house, sitting in their office, and they just look directly into the camera and they deliver a message, we connect with them on a level that can't be replicated through text, through a picture post, through a caption. So I would encourage people, if you want to generate leads faster, then you need to get on video. Now that we know that video is the vehicle to success, how do we optimize it? The reality is that 84% of people watch their videos with the sound turned off. So you absolutely need captions. Now, here's a little secret that I'm going to give you. You can actually go on Instagram and you can film your video on Instagram, and then you're going to go to the top. There's a smiley face. There's a little smiley face thing, a little icon. Click on it. You can add captions. Absolutely free, and it transcribes them in 5 seconds. Now you have a video with captions. You hit the save button. It saves it to your phone, and then you upload it to LinkedIn, and you've got captions done.
I love
now
that.
You remediated that, right?
That is a great hack. Now I'm going to ask you something. Okay, when a lot of people think they can do a video on one platform and it cross-pollinates, but a LinkedIn audience is different than a TikTok audience, than an Instagram, than a Facebook. So do you do that Instagram one? You don't even have to post on Instagram. You can just do it and get it downloaded. And it's not your Instagram post.
That's the key.
But it's also vertical now. So is that okay to post a vertical on LinkedIn?
Yes. So that is a fantastic question. Not surprised. That is a good question. 55% of LinkedIn is still consumed through desktop. So desktop still reigns supreme. Now, with that in mind, you still have the 45% of your audience that is consuming the content on mobile devices. And we know that it's going to head more in that direction. So I would say you can do either format because it's almost 50-50. I'd get a lot more comfortable doing the real style, which is the vertical that we talk about, because that's
and
the
then there's
direction.
Just a blank side on both sides, though, because even if you're watching a vertical on your desktop, it just, and we're used to seeing that anyway with the 2 black on the side because it's vertical. So it's not like a big deal like it used to be. Again, through the pandemic, we see that all the time. Now it's become more part of our visual. We're not saying, ooh, what's that? We're used to seeing vertical, even in a horizontal box. So
right. I would say that the best piece of advice I could give about that is your ideal prospects. How would they be consuming content? If you are, like, for example, if you are in the travel industry and you have, like, let's say that you have, cruises and you're promoting it, and you're posting content on the weekend because that's when somebody might make that kind of purchasing decision, right? Then you might want it to be on a mobile device because it's kind of a dream concept, right? But if you're an accountant or maybe a lawyer, then maybe it'd be better to do a desktop version, which is the horizontal. So think about your dream client. How would they be consuming content? What would be the best for them? Would they be on a desktop at 9 o'clock in the morning with their laptop open watching your content? Or are they going to be looking on their phone to consume it? So their behaviors is very important to deciding which one you go with.
That's a great point. Yeah. Great point.
Another hack that I want to give you guys is 2 things. Number 1 is hashtags. Everybody wonders about what kinds of hashtags I should use.
Hashtags.
This is going to blow everybody's mind.
Okay, blow our minds.
Hashtags are completely broken on LinkedIn. Don't even waste your time. Hashtags are broken because unlike other platforms, on LinkedIn, you have a live feed, but you don't have a discovery page. So you only have the content that your followers show. So because there's not differentiation, LinkedIn basically doesn't know what to do with their hashtags, so they don't add any traction. It's a great way to organize your content, but it won't move the needle.
Okay, now, good to know.
If you do want to move the needle and you do want your content to potentially go viral, I've got a really nice hack for you.
Yay.
You want to post between 10 o'clock a.m. EST and 1 o'clock p.m. EST. Those are the golden hours on LinkedIn. And within that time, you don't want to post at exactly 10 a.m. You want to post at like 10:13, 10:15, because everybody's automated software sets their content to go off at the top of the hour. And we're all competing for that very top spot on LinkedIn, that very top spot. So when you post at like 10:13, you have a higher probability of your content standing out because everybody else is posting 10, 10:30, 11. So that's been my hack to get clients to go viral faster.
That's a great hack. I would have never thought about that. And I thought I knew a lot about marketing. That is such a good hack with such great reasoning behind it. You're right. I always, even my shows and everything I do, it's top of the hour because we all think top of the hour. We don't even think the half hour. I always think top of the hour. You're doing 9 or 10 and 10 to 1 Eastern. So that's the middle of the day. So on LinkedIn, that was always my question with LinkedIn. Since LinkedIn is a very business audience, are people really, sounds like they're watching it while they're at work because they're not watching afterwards, but then they're saying post it during the day. But isn't the LinkedIn audience busy working in their business? But I guess not. They're watching at the same time, right?
Because it's a networking platform, the psychological behavior that people have for the platform is not the same. It's not passive passive dopamine hits like it would be on an Instagram or a TikTok.
Right.
People around those hours, when you look at like sales individuals, for sales individuals, that is their breeding ground to generate business opportunities and leads. So they're very active on the platform. You have a lot of executive assistants that maybe their boss asked them to do something. An executive assistant is the magic individual you want to tap into on LinkedIn. The salespeople, marketing, and executive assistants. Because the reality is, for those of you that have a CEO that you're trying to prospect, CEOs are too busy. They're not looking at your posts. But that executive assistant can become your cheerleader to defend you and to open the eyes of the CEO to see the opportunity with your business. So for me, I exclusively connect with marketing, sales, HR, and executive assistants because they become my cheerleaders that talk to the CEO and say, hey, there's this guy on LinkedIn doing this. We should have a conversation with him.
So smart, so smart. You're right. You've got to go to the gatekeeper so they can say, you need it. Because what did the CEO just might have told that person? Find me such and such, or I need to improve this bottom line, or we need to improve our marketing. And the executive assistant is smart enough to be on social media during the hours of 9 to 5 because she's getting paid for it on there, looking for people like ourselves being there. So that's brilliant right there.
Absolutely.
So if LinkedIn is one of your favorites, is there anything else you want to give away as far as hacks from marketing the entrepreneur to help them go viral in 2024?
Yes, I will give 2 more pieces of advice. Number 1, you need to, so this is, I believe it's 73%. 73% of individuals within the first 3 seconds will make the decision if they're going to watch the video till the end, like and comment on the post, and if they're going to share it. So if you cannot capture people's attention within the first 3 seconds, nothing else you say after that point matters at all. So that means
no stress.
Right. You need, and what I call it is you need a powerful, unusual, interesting opening line. You need something that captures people's curiosity. It could be a funny hat. It could be something that just doesn't look of this world, something unusual to capture people's attention. That's the key. And I'll give an example really quickly. I had a client. His post got 8 million views. And he's like, John, how did my post get 8 million views? And I said, how did it not? It was a miniature horse the size of a dog that was in a lake that had a round flotation device around its torso playing with kids. That is so unusual. It is impossible for it to not go viral. Sure. And that is how he was able to do it. Think the unusual.
How does that translate to business, though? Because I know I had a video about 2 years ago that got 500,000 views within like the first 3 days. And it was simply, I turned on my camera, I took a picture. I was in Gatlinburg and there was the first snow. It was so picturesque. And I just popped it on Facebook and nothing to do with business thing. And I just saw, and it got like, how many? It probably got like 50,000 shares. I'm like, why can't I do that with my business post, right? So how do we translate that off thing that is something like that, but it doesn't resonate into our ROI or our business, or tell anybody about what
Such a great question. Such a great question. And I'll use a story as an example. I need some electrical work done in my house. And my neighbor is an electrician. Now, is he the best electrician? No, I'd probably be better off just going in the yellow pages. Remember those?
I
yellow
do.
Pages, and looking for, an electrician, or I'll go on Google and I'll search for one. But here's the difference. I know my electrician neighbor. He's come over to my house for Thanksgiving. He's been there for Christmas. I've known him for 10 years. I trust him to be in my house. I know, like, and trust him. So because he's my neighbor, he is going to gain the business as opposed to an electrician that I have no relationship with, that I have nothing in common with, that I have not connected and networked and built something with. So when it comes to business, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, like we've said, right? Mm-hmm. So when we show pieces of ourselves, not only do we generate and attract those ideal clients, because content is top of funnel. It's just to get people to click on our profile. And then essentially your profile, we could save this for another day. Your profile is just a billboard for your offer. But your content is supposed to just get people to click on your profile. From there, they can learn more about what it is that you do. But there's no greater feeling than opening up my calendar on a Monday morning. And every client that I work with, I love working with, because my content resonated with that individual. They connected with me on a human level, and now we work together. Imagine opening your calendar on Monday and loving everybody you're working with. It is a treat. So the content does not need to tie directly into your business, because at the end of the day, do I care about how fast the 747 jet gets me from one location to the next? No, I just wanted to say something about who I am, and I want the flight to be comfortable, and I want to see the little icon of how far I got to go. But I don't care about the technical stuff. I care about that dream outcome, which is living a fulfilling life, doing work that I love to do. And when you create that content, you create that opportunity.
And I'm so glad I'm hearing this, because so many times I'm and many of the ladies that I work with too, we're very eclectic. We've got a lot of facets. We've got kids, we've got animals, we've got hobbies, interests, and we've heard so many things along the last even 5 years. Don't post personal things on your business page. Keep it all business. Make that thread look great, or post it all and let them see your dogs, your cats, your hobbies. And we get so confused. But you have the results to show for it. You're getting clients good viral results, and you're doing it. So give us, before we have to close up, I want to definitely have you back on. Yeah, my goodness, time goes by so fast talking to you. That's why you do 24-hour marathons. Only you. Goodness gracious.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. So if you could leave us with this, because I know we've done a lot on this one show alone. All right, that happy medium. And I'm a really good example of this, where I have 4 dogs and 2 cats. I love animals. I love going out, be with my family. How much should I show of myself to let them get to know, like, and trust me, versus giving content, giving great tactical advice, giving them the goods? So how do you balance that where it's not too much of one or the other?
Right. I love that. So we got 2 things. One is the John Mayer rule. I heard this and I'll never forget it. The John Mayer rule is, when it comes to his albums and the way he puts it together, he makes 1 song for himself to let out the artistic expression and 1 song for his audience. So find that balance. Create 1 just for your business, and then create 1 just for your audience, just so that they can kind of get to know you a little bit more, right? That's the way to find a good balance. But in addition to that, now that we kind of have that, another way to do it is, now I'm losing track of my thought right now. It's like I felt the pressure that he was on a little bit. It'll come back to me. But essentially, yes, I would say that's a good place to start.
Like a 50-50. And should you post more than 1 time a day? I know every platform is different. So we're on LinkedIn, Rob. So LinkedIn, is that a 1 time only a day thing, or is that a twice a day or a few times?
Great question. So considering that LinkedIn has a content deficiency problem, your post that you create on Monday will continue to get traction days afterwards. So Wendy, my client, even though she got 100,000 views this week, she only posted 3 times. 3 posts, and they generated that much attention towards her offer, right? So you only really need to post 3 times a week. That's what I tell people. And also, this is super, super important. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and it's a room full, it's a table full of people that you respect to the highest level. Are you going to just speak anytime you have a thought that comes in your head? Or are you going to be very intentional when you have something to say? I scaled to 200,000 followers making 1 video a week. 1 video. And that's something that I took from Mr. Beast, who is the most subscribed individual on YouTube. 1 video a week. That is it. Because when the intent is the highest and you respect your audience, that is when you really move the needle. Don't just put anything out there. Be very intentional. Respect your audience, and they will continue to come back for more.
They're going to love that, because, when I have my network, the Limelight Network, and I tell my entrepreneurs to come on, and you're going to do one thing. You're going to show up every week in your time slot, 1 time a week, week in, week out. I've been doing that for 3 years. And that compounding is where people wait for you to show up. They know when you're going to show up. It's not a daily. Could we have a daily show? Sure. Good Morning America's and the Today shows. We need our news and all that. But those 1 time a week favorites, that are your favorite sitcom, your favorite crime story, comes out once a week, and you can't wait for the next episode. And I'm so glad you're confirming that matters, that they don't have to get all consumed. Because especially, like I said, I work with a lot of mompreneurs. We have other things we need to do, and we're not excited about posting on TikTok 5 times a day to keep up with the Kardashians. We want to.
Can I give you a secret?
Yes.
Okay, everybody listening right now, you cannot tell anybody that I told you this, okay?
Not like anybody
Mark
watching, right?
Marketing agencies love posting 5, 10 times a day because then they can charge more per post. So if any marketer tells you post 5 times a day, it's because they can make a lot more money charging you for 5 posts a day than they can for 3 a week.
Of
I'm
course.
here to serve all of you. And I am telling you, I've worked with some of the biggest influencers on social media. You don't need to exhaust yourself. You don't need to spin your wheels because how many ideas can we have? I'd rather create event experience content than transactional everyday content because that's where the real magic is.
Oh, you are magical. Okay, and we've got to wrap up. I don't want to say goodbye, but we have to in a second. So in the last 2 minutes, how do people get a hold of you? You are so busy. You've got a lot of clients. So I know that everybody's listening and watching is going to fall in love with you. Want to, at least, let's just say half of them want to actually kind of tap in and see what you can do for them, for their business. You're going to be bombarded. How best should they get a hold of you? Do you have any free content or some virtual content they can consume so everybody doesn't call you at once? And then do you have events or programs coming up? You know, I'm going to be sharing this video all over the place. Just saying.
Yes. So like I said, I have no offers on social media. You'll never find me promoting anything because I don't want this to come off egotistical or arrogant, but I try to treat my business the same way that, you know, the monks, the priests, those historical figures, they didn't need to tell people what they did and what they were all about. Jesus Christ didn't go around telling everybody, preaching at them. He lived his life by example, and people were naturally attracted to whatever it was, that magic of whatever he was doing. And that is what I'm attempting to do. I'm building a tribe of individuals that come to me and say, hey, I see you doing something interesting. I would love to do that as well. Tell me the secret. What is this all about? So it is, my offer is a little bit mysterious, but if you do want to find me, I've given away every secret, every formula. All of my best content is right on my LinkedIn profile, free for everyone to consume and learn more. You can literally click on my LinkedIn profile and every question you could possibly have is answered through my videos. And I give that away completely for free. And if you want to have your process customized or a little bit of help getting it implemented, I'm here to serve you. But yes, and for anybody that comes to Aurea, I will give you a free hour. I will walk you through the process. No questions asked, no strings attached. If you come to Aurea, that is 100% for you.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great offer. That is so nice of you. You're so amazing. And how generous of you to do that. I love that. I love that. And you really do just give of your heart. You're just perfect to be on my show where it's earn more, live more, and give back more. And that was such a great gift. And you really mean it. You are the least salesperson I've ever met. You really just do want to give because you get back. There is no lack in your life. There's no lack of clients. There's no lack of prosperity, but you just keep giving. And you do remind me of those major people in our history that just gave, and God
you
gives
will
back.
always be taken care of. There's a divine power, there's divine source. You will always be, if you lead with heart, you will never go hungry.
Amen.
Never.
I totally live my life the same way. That's why we connect so well. Jonathan, we must bid adieu. I hate saying goodbye, but I hope you'll come back. I adore you. Thank you for pouring it all out for everyone. You are amazing. The LinkedIn is below. It'll be in the descriptions. Check him out. He absolutely is here to serve. Jonathan, thank you so much. This has been
You're so welcome.
magical.
The honor's all mine. Thank you. Thank you, Aurea.
Thank you so much. Until next time, everyone, this is Aurea and Jonathan. There you are, saying goodbye until next time on Get Celebritized. You're going to want to share this episode, that's for sure. I know I will. Bye for now.